going on? It's your boy Strawberry Station. I'm back again, and this is a special video because I have survived 1 year in Canada. Yay, yay. As of the 10th of January, I will have been here for exactly a year. My verdict? COVID. Yeah, I've not been able to do everything that I wanted this year, obviously, due to the whole global pandemic thing. But I've had a good year, really, let's be real. I've met some brilliant people, I've had some great experiences, and hopefully, fingers crossed, even though things are falling off a cliff at the moment, 2021 can be a year where I can finish some of the unfinished business that I have in this country before I go back to Britain. However, what I wanted to do for this video was do something a little different. I've been thinking about my time here in this country and trying to think, now that I've settled into Canadian life, what some of the things that have surprised me about the country have been. Let's get right into it. This is 5 things that have genuinely surprised me about life in Canada, or if we're going to be technical, life in southern Ontario, because I haven't had a chance to travel anywhere except this area yet. The summers in Canada. Now, everybody tells you about the winters being very cold here, and I came fully prepared. I had my big fluffy green jacket. We had that, I expected it. It was -20 at times, which was apparently a mild winter for Canadian standards, but we dealt with it, and once you've had it a few times, you're used to it. The summers, on the other hand, oh my God, man, they were hot. You know, they were hot. During kind of July, August time, I think we went 3 weeks of just solid sunshine, and the temperatures were in the mid to high 30s, day after day after day. Honestly, after about 3 weeks, I was like Toto, blessing the rains when they finally came. I went outside and I just stood there, just, you know, taking in the smell of the fresh rain. It was a marathon. It was an absolute marathon. Nobody tells you that. You expect it to be hot, but not that hot. I'm told that's not a normal thing and there's normally more rain, but my first summer in Canada, oh boy was it spicy. Now the music scene's interesting here. I think there's a lot of things that people tell you before you come here if you're into music, which is basically that there are Canadian artist laws and certain amounts of airplay have to go to local artists, which is a cool thing. But there's this myth that goes around that this one band that everybody knows and loves is the Tragically Hip. I would question that. It took me until probably the fall, the autumn, before I actually heard something on the radio and the guy on the radio was like, yeah, that was so-and-so by the Tragically Hip. I still don't know any of their songs. I've been here a year now. To my knowledge, I've heard them once. The actual OG band, as far as I'm aware, is the Bare Naked Ladies, another kind of like folksy rock band from Canada. Their song Pinch Me, oh my God, I alluded to this in my Canada Day video, but it was on the air every freaking day for the first few months I was in Toronto, at least. To the point that when you're stuck at home and you've just got the radio to listen to, I ended up in this weird Stockholm situation where I went from absolutely hating it to kind of liking it. They have another song called If I Had $1 Million, which is literally just them singing about the stupid shit they'd do with $1 million, which is the most Canadian song I've ever heard. It even references Kraft Dinner at one point. So yeah, the Bare Naked Ladies are the actual Canadian underrated banger. Rush, on the other hand, yeah, you hear Rush in a lot of shops and stuff. They're basically Canadian treasures at this point. You'll hear Tom Sawyer, you'll hear Spirit of the Radio, you'll hear Closer to the Heart. I've noticed in the media as well, they've got that kind of like weird kind of royal vibe where, you know, like Geddy Lee could fart on the subway and it'd be headline news. Another thing I found interesting when I've been looking in record shops, or at least when I could look in record shops before lockdowns and stuff, was the Canadian new wave scene. There's a couple of bands here that still get airplay and stuff that we just treated as one-hit wonders in Britain. Like, the biggest example I'd have is Martha and the Muffins, who are probably best known for making Echo Beach and then just like disappearing to the depths of the ocean down the Mariana Trench. But yeah, they had some kind of more new wavy stuff through the 80s. They get airplay. There's this one song, Black Stations, White Stations, that's absolute banger. And that came in like 1984, so that was a couple of years after everyone had forgotten about them in Britain. But yeah, there's like Martha and the Muffins. I've heard stuff from folks like Judy Suke, Sherry Keane, Jill Michaels, all artists that guys back home have probably never heard of, and even most Canadians probably can't remember that well. But they get airplay. I've heard them on the radio here, and then I'm like, ooh, who's that? And I look them up and I'm like, hey, cool, it's another Canadian new wave artist from the 80s. So yeah, they had their whole kind of local scene here, and there's so many like artists that I'm trying to dive down that rabbit hole and check out now, which is fun. It's always fun to discover new stuff. Yeah, yeah. Okay, Canada, we need to talk about your fried chicken for a moment. Sorry, it sucks. It's surprising how in-depth and serious people get about food when they're talking about it here. I get it a lot when I'm at work, people having very kind of profound discussions about specific ingredients and stuff. They're very proud of food, but there seems to be this big blind spot when it comes to fried chicken. The obsession that I've had whenever I've talked to people about fast food, which is a conversation that comes up way more than you would expect, is there's this obsession with it not being greasy, which is fair enough if you have some food of any sort that's too greasy. It's disgusting, it's basically inedible. But with fried chicken, you need a little bit of that grease to give it that juiciness, and there just seems to be so much overcompensation. People absolutely stan Popeyes here. I've tried to like Popeyes chicken, and I've just come to the conclusion that I'm sorry, it's kind of shit. They put so much like batter and like covering on everything, and then they fry the hell out of it and like drain it. It's dry. It's like eating Cajun flavored flour. Very overrated. Everyone was obsessed with the new chicken sandwich, and ironically, considering what I just said, the reason people seem to like it and the reason I don't like it is because it's really, really freaking greasy. It's not nice at all. You know, you get the bun and it's just like dripping out of it. It's horrible. KFC here is nah, not good. Again, it's too dry, and I don't know what the hell they're doing with the gravy, but it's like, it's thin. It's thinner than the amount of content that I've got for my next album. Watch this space, 2021, fingers crossed. The only places I've had half decent fried chicken are Jollibee's. And to be honest, if you're having chicken at Jollibee's, then you don't even want to be going for the chicken that much. It's more about the Filipino options. You want to try the Halo, you want to try the Palabok. The fried chicken is just a bonus, you know. And Church's chicken, which is rare. There's like 2 or 3 in Toronto that I know of. I had half decent chicken there, but I'd still say it was on like a base tier level of what I'm used to back home. Anyway, enough about fried chicken, moving on. Oh boy, the buses in Toronto, oh my god. Right, here's a fun one for you. Do you want to recreate the experience of riding the TTC to work every day? Right, what you want to do, go and start your tumble dryer, preferably with a brick inside it. Sit on top of that tumble dryer for half an hour. Stop, go stand in a walk-in freezer while you wait for your next bus to come. Start the tumble dryer again, sit on the same thing with no padding, no cushion, and if you really want to complete the experience, get a friend who hasn't washed in days to stand with their armpit in your face and completely ignore any semblance of social distancing. Now rinse and repeat over the course of a week, and then tell me how you feel. That's what it's like to ride the buses here. They are so uncomfortable. There's no padding on the seats at all. They're normally overcrowded because a lot of the drivers don't give a shit about social distancing and capacity issues. They rattle like the ages. They have about as much suspension as your mum's knickers after 10 years of being worn. They are really, really uncomfortable. I'm not even joking. When I travelled on them every day to work when I had heavy shifts in the summer, I actually started to get arse pains. Like, it was uncomfortable to sit down because I'd been on these buses for so long, 2 hours each day for 4 or 5 days a week. There you go, that's the perfect analogy for you. Buses in Canada, an actual pain in the arse. But anyway, this isn't supposed to be a rant video. I'm actually really grateful for some of the things, some of the people and some of the experiences that I've had while I've been here. And the last thing that's genuinely surprised me has been the generosity of Canadians and the generosity of people in this country. Now, the kind of friendly Canadian thing is considered a stereotype, but often there's no smoke without fire with these things. And I can genuinely say that I have had some of the kindest people do some of the nicest things for me this past year. I can rattle off a few now, and you can go back through my videos and see a lot of this stuff. The first morning I spent in Canada, I went to a sports bar. I thought I'd ease myself in, have a Canadian breakfast and watch Leicester City ultimately lose to Southampton. I met 2 people at the bar who happened to be fans of Leicester City, and they bought me 3 beers and my breakfast for free. I'd already found $20 on the floor that day as well, so I think I actually made money during my first day here, which was crazy. But they didn't have to do that, and yet they paid for my breakfast because I was new to the country. It was insane, so thank you to those 2. Then there's the folks in London, like the Hermit Huddle folks that took me into their little group and stuff, and we'd go out for coffee and stuff and just have a good time. And then of course there's my buddy Indy as well, who has done a lot of really nice things for me. When I first met him, he gave me a phone, a handset, because I didn't have one at the time for Canada. That saved me a 3-figure sum to get myself set up with the new phone. Also found myself being driven to Toronto by him when I moved here after a couple of months in London. Again, he didn't have to do that, but he really saved me a lot of effort and struggle getting moved over here. And again, that was just out of generosity. He wanted to help his buddy, and I'm thankful to you, buddy, because a lot of the stuff that helped me get set up in this country was down to your generosity. I can also mention Soph and Zeph, who I've seen twice now. I've been out to their neck of the woods. I've been able to see the beautiful countryside in that part of Ontario, which is about the furthest I feel that I've actually been since I got here. And on top of that, being welcomed into their family for Christmas as well. This random person who they'd literally only met twice in their life before, to be able to kind of enjoy it and spend it with people that obviously didn't owe me anything, but just because, you know, they were being kind and they wanted to be friends to me. That sort of thing just seems to just flow naturally from Canadians, and I think a lot of us are a lot more guarded in Britain when it comes to a lot of that sort of stuff. And you know, I'm truly grateful, and I hope to repay some of those vibes to some of you over the coming year while I've got the chance to do so. But yeah, that's about it really. I just want to wish everybody a happy new year once again, and say that where the opportunity arises, I will be trying to make new content for this channel over the coming year. It's obviously difficult at the moment because we're in lockdown again, but I do have a couple of little ideas. I've got my GoPro ready to go, and I'm hopefully going to take a couple of bike rides just to test it out and see bits of the city that I haven't seen yet. But otherwise, we've gone a year, and I think we can go longer. Let's see what 2021 brings. Stay safe, stay funky, I love you all. The adventure continues.